I was standing in my front yard, Christmas lights, glowing music humming softly through the house, when a woman I didn't invite walked in like she was shutting down a crime scene, and weeks later, a judge would order a fence she built torn down at her expense, ending her authority for good. At the time, I didn't know how far it would go. I just knew that the moment she raised her phone and said, "This ends now," something inside my chest dropped. And that was the night everything changed. This wasn't just any gathering. This was our Christmas party. The one thing we did every single year without fail. Friends from down the street, neighbors, we didn't always get to talk to kids running around with candy canes in their mouths and those ridiculous blinking sweaters adults pretend they don't enjoy wearing. It was the one night in December when people actually slowed down. No work stress, no HOA emails, no passive-aggressive notes taped to mailboxes. Just food laughter, warm lights, and music kept deliberately low, loud enough to feel festive, quiet enough to stay within the rules. And yes, I knew the rules. I always did. Living in an HOA teaches you that. You don't just host a party, you prepare a defense. Weeks before the event, I reread the bylaws. Holiday gatherings allowed. Decorations allowed. Guests allowed. Noise limits clearly stated. Approved hours clearly defined. We planned the start time early. We planned the end time even earlier than required. Music indoors. Parking organized. I even printed the relevant pages and stuck them in a folder, not because I thought I'd need them, but because experience had taught me that someone always looks for a reason to complain. Everything checked out. And still in the back of my mind there was a name I couldn't ignore. Linda Hawkins. Linda lived 2 houses down. Everyone knew her, not because she was friendly, not because she was helpful, but because she had this way of walking the neighborhood like she was inspecting it. Phone always in hand, camera always ready, recording decorations she didn't like, timing how long someone's garage door stayed open, complaining about laughter, about music, about anything that suggested other people were enjoying themselves. She wasn't the HOA president, not officially, but she acted like it. She spoke like it. She carried herself like authority wasn't something written down. It was something you asserted loudly enough until people stopped arguing. Every year she complained about the Christmas party. Every year nothing happened. This year, she decided she'd make something happen. The night started perfectly. Lights glowing across the yard, music playing softly inside, the smell of food drifting through open doors. Kids laughing in that high-pitched, chaotic way that only happens when they're hopped up on sugar and excitement. Neighbors actually talking not about property lines or trash bins, but about life. Then Linda showed up. She wasn't invited. She didn't knock. She walked straight in, phone already recording, face-tight, lips pressed together like she'd been rehearsing this moment all day. She didn't say hello. She didn't say Merry Christmas. The first words out of her mouth were, "This needs to stop." The music didn't even pause. People froze instead. Conversations cut off mid-sentence. Kids looked at their parents confused. I stepped forward, heart pounding, but voice calm, and asked her what she meant. She waved her phone toward the house. "You're violating HOA noise rules." I told her we were within limits. I told her I had checked. I told her calmly, politely, that holiday gatherings were permitted. She didn't like calm. That's when the threats started. Fines. Formal complaints, emergency HOA meetings. She said things like, "I can shut this down right now, and you don't want this escalating." And my personal favorite, "I've handled situations like this before." She wanted fear. She wanted me to fold in front of everyone. She wanted the power of watching a room go quiet because she said so. And for a moment, it worked. I looked around and saw the doubt spreading. Neighbors shifting uncomfortably. Parents pulling kids closer. That sick feeling crept into my stomach, the one that whispers, "Maybe you messed up. Maybe this isn't worth it. Maybe you should just apologize and end it." I hated that feeling. Hated how quickly it showed up. Hated that part of me that wanted to keep the peace by giving in. Linda smiled when she saw it. Then she said, "Fine, I'm making a call." She stepped away, phone pressed to her ear, pacing like she was about to flip a switch and shut everything down with one sentence. She had that look people get when they think power lives on the other end of a phone line. I didn't follow her. I didn't argue. I didn't raise my voice. I walked inside. The kitchen was quiet compared to the yard, the music muffled, the laughter distant. I leaned against the counter and stared at my phone, and for a few seconds I just stood there breathing. That was the moment I almost quit. The moment I wondered if I was the problem. If hosting this party every year was just painting a target on my back. If it would be easier to cancel, apologize, clean up, and avoid the drama. But then something else cut through that doubt. Anger. Not loud anger, not shouting anger. The quiet kind. The kind that shows up when you realize someone is trying to control you using fear and confidence alone. The kind that remembers the rules, the paperwork, the lines on a map that don't change just because someone wants them to. So I made my call, not to the police, not to the HOA board. I called the property management attorney who handled compliance for the developer. And I called the city's holiday event liaison, a number I already had from previous permitted neighborhood events. I didn't rant. I didn't dramatize. I explained calmly that an HOA member was attempting to shut down a permitted holiday gathering, issuing threats of fines and misrepresenting HOA authority. And then almost casually, I added one more detail. There had recently been an unauthorized fence installed along a shared boundary. A fence that appeared to cross onto private property. The pause on the other end of the line was immediate. "Stay where you are," they said. "We'll send someone to observe." No lecture, no debate, just procedure. When I stepped back outside, Linda was still pacing, still talking loudly enough for people to hear, still playing her role. She didn't notice the change in my expression. She didn't notice the way my shoulders had squared. She did notice the city vehicle pulling up. 2 officials arrived first. No flashing lights, no urgency. Just clipboards, reflective jackets, and the unmistakable posture of people who deal in facts, not feelings. Linda spotted them immediately and rushed over phone, still recording already talking before they finished parking. She launched into her story, illegal gathering noise violations, HOA authority, emergency enforcement. They listened, patiently. Then they asked for documentation. Linda didn't have any. They asked for the specific bylaw she was enforcing. She paraphrased. They asked if she was an authorized HOA officer empowered to issue on-site enforcement. She said she was acting in the community's best interest. That answer didn't land. One of the officials turned to me and asked if we had permits or approvals for holiday gatherings. I handed over the folder, printed, highlighted, clear. Then the city liaison asked about the fence. That's when Linda's confidence cracked. She admitted she had approved it. She said it was to protect HOA interests. They asked if she owned the land. She didn't. They asked if she had a permit. She didn't. They started taking notes. Linda's voice got louder, faster, less controlled. People noticed. Phones came out, not hers this time. What Linda didn't understand was that power trips leave paper trails. Emails she'd sent bragging about asserting authority. Messages claiming the fence established boundaries. Photos she'd taken herself during installation, time-stamped and proud. What she thought was proof of control became proof of trespass. They asked for a survey. I had it. Clear boundary lines. Fence posts sitting inside private property. Not close, not arguable. Inside. They asked who installed it. She said she ordered it. They asked why. She said she believed the HOA had jurisdiction. Belief doesn't change property lines. At that point, the conversation ended. Not loudly, not dramatically. It just stopped. Linda was told to step back. The officials nodded to me. The party resumed. The music never even had to get louder. Linda didn't accept it. People like her rarely do. She filed complaints, demanded hearings, claimed overreach. She tried to turn embarrassment into a legal argument. So it went to court. She walked in confident again because entitlement has a short memory. The judge reviewed everything: HOA bylaws, holiday allowances, property surveys, fence installation records, and then asked her a single question. Who authorized you to construct a barrier on land you do not own? She said she believed she had authority. The judge corrected her politely and firmly. Authority is granted, not assumed. The ruling was straightforward. The Christmas party was permitted. Linda had misrepresented HOA authority. The fence was illegally installed, constituting trespass and interference. Then came the order. The fence was to be demolished, at Linda's expense, by a fixed deadline. No appeal window, no negotiation. She didn't speak. After that, Everything changed quietly. The HOA sent emails distancing themselves from her actions, calling them unauthorized, promising to review enforcement procedures. Linda resigned from the board shortly after. No announcement, no explanation. She stopped filming, stopped confronting people, stopped acting like the neighborhood was hers. The fence came down, the lights stayed on, and I learned something that night. Authority isn't volume rules. Don't override law, and intimidation collapses the moment facts arrive.